Top 10 Best Soundbar. Number 10. Bestison TV Soundbar. The Bestison TV Soundbar is a genuine surprise. Even in its smaller 28 version, there's a 40 model available for $100, it manages to impress with some truly powerful sound. Despite not having the ability to add a subwoofer, the Bestison excels with deep bass and a decent sound stage, which is far more than we'd expect for the budget price. If you have a slightly larger room that you need to fill, but don't want to spend the earth on a soundbar, then the Bestison TV soundbar could be a great option. That being said, it has some serious downsides. Our main issue is with the Bluetooth audio, which makes music streaming via Spotify sound dull and lifeless. The audio from a wired connection is fine, but if you're aiming for wireless streaming functionality, we'd suggest looking elsewhere, including the very capable TCL Alto 5, which we think offers better value and is only slightly more expensive. Number 9. Vizio VSeries 2.1. It would be an understatement to say that Vizio's soundbar offerings were confusing. With model names like the SB36512F6, it was often hard to figure out which of their excellent bars to buy. They recently revamped their entire range, and although the high-end soundbars are still a few months away, we recently heard the VSeries 2.1. We appreciated how it sounded, but what we appreciated even more was the redesigned interface. We would put it up against Sonos in terms of setup and use, and given that the cheapest Sonos soundbar is $399, that's quite something. The problem is that the Vizio VSeries 2.1 faces a lot of competition. It may be easy to use, but it's hard to recommend it over the Yamaha YAS 109 or the Samsung HWT450. Both of those bars do a better job in terms of audio quality. Number 8. Sonos Arc. Dolby Atmos is very much the industry standard for surround sound. It uses height audio in addition to sound that comes from the sides and rear, and in the absence of a full home theater system, the Sonos Arc is the absolute best way to experience it. The Arc is a remarkable soundbar, combining not only the company's breezy setup and app control, but also outstanding sound quality that makes it easy to believe you're surrounded by a multitude of speakers. If you want the ultimate in-home cinema audio, then we think the Arc, with its multitude of speaker drivers and friendly setup process, is the way to go. Atmos can be tricky, and as good as the Sonos Arc, it does have a few downsides. If you watch movies on 4K Blu-ray disc, still the best source for Atmos soundtracks, you need to make sure you have a TV released in the past year. This will ensure you have an EARC port available, which is the only way to get the Arc to decode Atmos soundtracks. Number 7. Yamaha YAS 109. If you want great bass in a soundbar, you have two options. Spring for a 2.1 system with a separate subwoofer, or pick a soundbar that has a high-quality internal sub. If that second one sounds good, then your first and only choice should be the Yamaha YAS 109. It has some of the best bass of any soundbar, without the need for a separate sub. The bass is clean and powerful, making bullet impacts and explosions a joy. We like the feature set, too, which includes not one but two HDMI ports. One offers HDMI ARC, and the other regular HDMI, which means you can do things like connect a gaming console or Blu-ray player directly to the soundbar. Overall, We think the Samsung HWT450 offers better value, which is why it's in our top spot, but if you need the best bass around, the newer YAS 109 is the way to go. The most glaring downside is the included virtual surround sound settings, which are easily beaten out by less expensive bars like the Vizio VSeries 2.1. The various settings just don't convince us, even though there's no question that the bass is superior to just about every 2.0 model here. Number 6. TCL Alto 5. TV maker TCL genuinely surprised us with the Alto 5 soundbar. It's a basic bar, but it manages to pack in a good range of features, including Bluetooth streaming. In terms of value for money, where a soundbar delivers features far above the price tag, we don't think there's a better option here. The sound is surprisingly decent, competing with the more well-known Datronix bar, above, on audio quality. We really felt that dialogue improved with the Alto 5, and although the sound doesn't have the crispness of the Datronix, it's still an excellent second option. However, we'd steer clear of the TCL Alto 5 if you enjoy heavy bass or appreciate action movies that have a lot of explosions and bullet impacts. The only way to add a subwoofer onto the Alto 5 is to get what's known as the Alto 5 Plus option, which comes with a dedicated wireless subwoofer. You can't add a third-party sub into the mix. And unfortunately, the subwoofer in the Alto 5 Plus package is pretty poor. Number 5. Roku STRamber. When asked about the best soundbar to stream content, we have a one-word answer: Roku. The STRamber is their latest, and it's a wonder, a compact, powerful little soundbar that not only delivers crystal clear dialogue, but allows full streaming of Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Spotify and more. If you have a smart TV already, then you obviously won't need this functionality, but for those who don't, this is by far and away the simplest and most effective way of boosting both your visuals and your audio. The Roku STRamber is the newer version of the larger smart soundbar, which does much the same thing but with more power and a larger size. We think the former is the way to go, as it really is the smoothest way to set up streaming. One big downside to bear in mind is that the tiny size of the STRamber means there is a lack of bass, and unfortunately, there's no subwoofer output. Number 4. Sonos Beam. Using a soundbar for music can cut down on the number of speakers you need in your house, but we think it's only worth doing if the bar itself can actually do a good job. The Sonos Beam certainly can. The overall sound quality is just out of this world, and with elements like music, the Beam performs better than most soundbars we've heard. While we think the bass could be a little better, the Beam still offers clear, fun, and punchy sound quality that excels with music. Matched up with other pricey soundbars, like the Poke Audio Magnify 2 and the far more expensive Bose Soundbar 500, the Sonos Beam is the clear winner in both music presentation and features. Sonos's app makes setup a breeze, and you can use that app to stream music through the Beam via Wi-Fi. There's even Apple AirPlay 2 connectivity for iPhone users. The inclusion of Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant means you can issue voice commands to your Beam. All these features do mean that the Beam is expensive. $399 is nothing to be sniffed at. Number 3. Zvox AccuVoice AV203. Many soundbars claim to improve movie dialogue, but none of them do it quite as well as the Zvox AccuVoice AV203. This bar has a dedicated feature, unsurprisingly named AccuVoice, that makes it easy to hear when someone is speaking, enhancing the clarity. If you have trouble picking out dialogue, then the AccuVoice AV203 is the model to go for. While the top-ranked Samsung HWT450 is better overall, and costs around $50 less at the time of writing, the AccuVoice AV203 is simply light years ahead of it in terms of dialogue clarity. It's also one of the smallest soundbars on this list, at 17, making it ideal for just about any situation. The Zvox bar has no wireless connectivity, and in terms of overall sound quality it doesn't quite have the finesse of the Samsung bar, or even the cheaper Yamaha YAS 109, below. And like so many bars in this price range, there's no HDMI, which can make connection frustrating. Number 2. Datronix 32 Soundbar. The primary goal of any soundbar is to dramatically improve the sound of your TV, and the Datronix 32 soundbar is one of the most cost-effective ways to do just that. While it is a relatively basic soundbar and tends to distort at higher volume levels, we're impressed with the sound quality it produces for the price. It beats out similarly priced models like the TCL Alto 5, below. We are also rather taken with the design, which we think is better than some of the models above it. The lack of HDMI support may mean that you won't be able to control the volume with your TV remote, but the included remote is excellent. If you're looking for a soundbar with additional features, it may be worth checking out the Vizio VSeries 2.1. Unlike the Datronix bar, it has an external subwoofer, which means better bass, and it has support for HDMI connections. Number 1. Samsung HWT450 2.1ch. The HWT450 offers great sound quality with excellent dialogue. We can't think of a simpler and more effective way to improve your TV sound than the Samsung HWT450. It's super simple to set up, and doesn't insist you pay for features that you're unlikely to use. And in our opinion, the sound is killer. Movie dialogue, in particular, is crisp and clean, while explosions and bullet impacts have real punch thanks to the included wireless subwoofer. The slim design works equally well sitting on your TV cabinet, or mounted to the wall. All in all, a soundbar should fit your needs, not the other way around, and the HWT450 nails it. There are a couple of things worth bearing in mind with the HWT450. The big one is that it has no HDMI connection, HDMI being the standard wired connection for most TVs and audio equipment. That's not a deal breaker, but it does mean that connecting this to some TVs can be awkward, although most people will still be able to connect it just fine with the included optical cable, or with Bluetooth. And while we think the overall sound is excellent, there are better options if you're specifically looking for exceptional dialogue or bass. Check out the description for more information in latest price.